There's a ton of different contact sensors out there. I picked up one from Aqara and a generic 2-year Zigbee one as well. I'll have links down in the description for both of those. The only difference between the two seems to be that the Aqara one comes in a massive box with loads of empty space for some reason. Other than that, they're pretty similar. So they have these lines on them that show which sides are supposed to connect, and as they move together they close the connection, and when they move apart they open the connection, and you can read that in Home Assistant and do things based on those states. They're pretty similar in terms of what they serve up. You get things like the battery percentage. This is the Aqara one we're looking at. Over on the second tab we've got the TURIA one. So you can see we've got battery percentage on both of them. Also things like whether the contact sensor is open or closed, which is its primary function. And you get other things as well that are exposed to things like the voltage on the TURIA one, the voltage on the Aqara one. One thing that you do get on the TURIA one, which you don't on the Aqara, is this tamper indicator, and it indicates whether it's been not just opened, but whether it's been tampered with, which is quite useful for things like if you want to check out my video on how I made a security system using Home Assistant. It's useful for things like that. You can set it up as a tamper sensor instead of a contact sensor. All of the applications in this video today are just using it as a contact sensor, not using it as a tamper sensor. This is the first one we're looking at, and this, I think, is what home automation is all about. It's too much effort to have to tick something off on a task list once it's been done every day. So there's this little toggle here, you can see it, this is on our dashboard that we have in Hallway, and it says whether the fish are hungry or whether they've been fed. And this is just driven by a contact sensor on the fish tank, so we don't even have to worry about ticking it off, it just knows when it's been done. And the way that this is configured is by a little input helper that I've got here, so it just says whether the fish have been fed or not. And that's literally all it is, it's just an input boolean. And then when that's turned on, it has this state in the dashboard to say that they've been fed, and when it's off, it has this state to say that they're still hungry. Let me just dive in to what the dashboard looks like so we can see. I really like these mushroom cards, so it's using one of those mushroom cards, and it's just monitoring that input boolean whether the fish have been fed or not. And all it's going to do is if it's set in a state that it's on, it says that they've been fed, otherwise it's going to say that they're hungry. So you get this kind of state on the right here, and all it's going to do as well is change the icon as well. We've got a fish and a fish off icon that corresponds with the state that I want to see on the card. Looking at it now, I should probably change that icon because it looks a little bit like the fish has been yeah, we're going to change that, but something for later. The other thing that is happening is we have some automations, and all that happens is when the contact sensor changes to opened, it will literally just set that input boolean and turn it on, and that is what drives this state. So it's a really simple automation. There's some other automations as well, because obviously at the beginning of the day when you open it up, you want to make sure that it resets. So we have this this config that has a daily reset in it, and all this does is at midnight it's going to go ahead and call the turn off input boolean service to turn off that particular helper, and it's just going to reset the fish have been fed, which will put the state back to here at midnight. We wanted to make sure the roof was well lit when we went up there, so we put a little contact sensor just on the door so it can register when it's been opened. So one of the first things we did when we moved in, we added a ladder so that we could get up in the roof super easy, super low friction, so that it just becomes an extra space that we can store stuff. You can see that when the light comes on, it's incredibly messy. but also we can see what we're doing. And this light strip runs for the entire length of the roof, so we can see up there. The automation for the roof is really easy. It's literally just when the door sensor opens or when the door sensor closes, it triggers the automation, and then it will conditionally execute this action. So it's just checking if the door sensor is open, then it's going to turn the light on, which is fairly straightforward at full brightness. And then when it closes, it's just going to turn the light back off. That's literally all it's needed. And this is all that's required. Just for just under £18, you can get the entire COB strip. It's 5 meters, comes with a plug, comes with a Zigbee controller. I'll leave a link down in the description where you can pick one up. Then you just need a door sensor, again £7. If you're paying over a tenner for these, then you're probably paying a little bit too much. We have a contact sensor on the freezer. This is just so when we open it, it can light the way so we can find whatever we're looking for, maybe a cornetto or a flake or something. And when we close it, the light goes back off. But this is really cool because it means that we know when the freezer is open and we know when the freezer is closed. So we can make an inference, like if we've left the freezer open for 15 minutes, then we should probably alert around the house that, hey, did you mean to leave the freezer open? Maybe you should go and close it. And that's exactly what this automation does. I take my health pretty seriously, and that includes not sitting for too long. So I have a contact sensor on the side of my desk, and when it's been closed for a long time, it infers I've been sat for a long time. When it opens up, it infers that I've stood up, and I get a mini celebration as a reward. This is all driven by this automation that we have here. So there's 2 triggers for it. The first is that if the desk sensor has been closed for 45 minutes, and the second is that the lamp is turned on for 45 minutes. And the reason for that is because when I come into the room, the desk might already be down, or when I come into the room, the desk might already be up. So I want both of those conditions to trigger the automation, because I can't just have one or the other. So when it's been triggered, I'm going to check a few things. So I'm going to check if the desk lamp is on, which I use to infer that I'm in the office. I'm going to check whether the sensor is closed, and I'm also going to check whether the office ceiling light is on. And the reason for this is because I have this cool automation where if I hold down this button, it changes the lighting in the room completely. The reason that I have this is because if I'm on a call, it makes the lighting better, and when it does this, it also turns on the ceiling light, which means that I can make inferences as to whether I'm on a call based on whether that light's on or not. So that's what this is actually checking here. So as long as all of those 3 conditions are met, it's just gonna literally cool the desk lamp, set the color to blue, and it is also going to publish a message to my Ulanzi clock. And this is something that I picked up recently. It's super cool, great bit of kit. Smart Home Junkie has a fantastic video on how to set one of those up, so I'll link that down in the description. You should definitely go check that out too. I've made a whole video about this before. I've got Alarmo set up, an alarm system, and it's driven by a few different contact sensors dotted around the house. Got one in the garage, got one on the front door, one on the back door. And if any of these sensors get open, when the alarm is activated, it will trigger the alarm. If you're interested in how to set this up, I've made a whole video on how to do this. Definitely go check it out. So those are my top 5 automations using contact sensors. I'd love to hear what you're using contact sensors for as well, so leave a comment down below and let me know. If you enjoyed the video, hit like, maybe subscribe. I'll see you next time.